Hi, it's Michelle here, and I'm doing an impromptu Facebook Live today, so I hope that you can join me. Um, what I'd like to show you today is a little box that I made for an event that I attended last week, and that was the tulip time here in Bowral. Bowral is well known for its tulips, and we have 1 week each year that we celebrate our tulips, and we have a big event happening in our local park. And for 10 days I was at an artisan expo, and that was a huge amount of fun. I got to meet lots of people, and one of the things I made for that was this cute little chocolate box. It's a self-closing box, and inside there, just pop that open, is a little Ferrero Rocher. So what I thought I'd show you today is actually how I made this box. So let's just get started. So I'll just pop that to one side. Papers I'm using today are these papers here. Now at the moment I can't find myself on my computer, which does not surprise me. So I am going to keep going, and hopefully a few of you will pop on, and I'm going to stand up so I can actually see my phone doing this one this time and see whether there are any comments. So let me know if you're on. I'd love to chat with you. Leave a few comments, and we'll get started. So this is the paper that we're using, and this paper is from the annual catalogue, and it's called Under the Mistletoe. It's got a beautiful range of papers, and I love my plaids, so I've used up a lot of the plaids. So today I'm just going to use this particular designer series paper here. Now just be aware, when you're cutting this paper, it has got what we call in the fabric world a one-way cut, which means the design is all going in one direction. So I've had to look at this and sort of say, okay, this is the way I'm going to cut this. If you had a pattern where it's going in two different directions, and it wouldn't matter so much. So what's on the back of that one, that doesn't really show us what I mean by that, but if I pull out this piece of paper here, if you have a look at this, the pine cones are going in different directions. So you've got this pine cone going in that direction, that pine cone going in that direction. Now usually you would look for the same pine cone, the same print. So what I mean is that particular one there is actually repeated there, but they're close enough in design that you've got another one here which is very similar, and it's going in a slightly different direction. So it wouldn't matter which way you cut that paper to be your bottom or your top. Whereas this one here, if I cut this paper going that, how can I explain it? If I cut this going the other way, I could have these going around my box rather than up and down. So just look very carefully at your paper and work out whether it's going to suit what you're going to do. So I've pre-cut mine. So let me just move all of this out of the road. I'll just pop it over there. And here's my piece of designer series paper. Now as you can see, I've cut it, and the measurements that I've cut, now I'm going to give you this in inches, and this has been cut at 5 3/8. So I've gone 5 3/8 as my width, and 3 3/4 as my depth. Okay, so that's my piece of cardstock. Now we are going to use my scoring board here for this. You can use your scorer on your trimmer if you wish, but I just found this a lot easier on my board. Okay, so I do have instructions here, and I will be posting this later on today in my blog, and I have drawn up all the points that we need to score and cut. So I hope you can follow along with what I'm doing here. Now just let me have a look and see whether I've appeared actually on here or not. My computer, and no, I haven't. I've still got a few things I have to learn about doing these lives. So bear with me. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got to score. So I'm using my new scoring tool. So first off, I want to score along at 2.5 inches and at 5 inches. So I'm going to pop this in the corner. Let's just move this down so you can see. Pop this in the corner. Now, as I said, I am going to score this at 2.5 inches. Get that nice on the flat. So there's my 2.5 inches. So I'm going to score that down 2.5 inches, and this is along that 5 3/8 lengths. And I'm going to also score it at 5 inches. So over here at 5 inches. I'm now going to turn this around so that I have my 3 3/4 inches across the top. And now I'm going to score this at 5/8 of an inch. So that's about there. I'm going to score that down. I hope my fingers aren't in the road. Hope you can see that at 5/8 of an inch. And I'm also going to score it at 3 1/8 of an inch. So it's actually going to give me 5/8 of an inch coming in from either side. Okay, so once I've scored that, I'm then going to grab my scissors, and they've decided to hide on me, which is just here. So I've got those scoring lines. So I've got, I'm going to turn it over to the back. You might be able to see that a little bit better. I've got a scoring line across here and a scoring line across there. I've got one on the end here and one just about here. So that's my 2.5 inches, and that's my 5-inch mark. So I'm going to cut away at that 5-inch mark. I'm going to trim down to that 5/8 mark, and I'm going to trim away that little piece just there. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So I'm just going to trim away, and that's just going to form us a little tab that's going to join our box together. And then, you can actually, if you wish, just fold that in half and even burnish all those lines, just so then you can see where we're cutting. But I'm now going to just cut from this point up to that 5/8 mark and turn it around and do the same on the other side. So cut from there to there. Now I do have a couple of more little score lines to make. So one of these edges is going to become our bottom. Now because this is our right side, and this is, and I want my ornaments to be hanging downwards, I'm going to make this part here my bottom. So I'm going to turn that around, pop that up into there, and I'm going to score at 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to score 1 1/4 inches just up to that 5/8 mark. Actually, sorry, I'm going to turn that over and do it on this other side because that's incorrect. So 1 1/4 inches and up to that 5/8 mark. So it's actually halfway between that edge and to that 2.5 inch mark. So sorry, what I gave you before was incorrect. So I've actually turned it upside down and put my tab edge on my right hand side, put that into the corner and score it 1 1/4, which is halfway between the 0 and the 2.5. Then I need to score it again at 3 3/4, and that is actually going to give me another halfway mark, which is halfway between that tab there on the right hand side and that 2.5 line there. Okay, so again, just on those two little score lines, I'm just going to snip into there up to that 5/8 mark again. Now that's just so to make it easier for you to see on that side, but if I turn it back over to the right hand side, let me just go through that with you again. There's your 5/8 mark score line across there, and I have measured from the left hand side across for 1 1/4 inches and cut, and again from that left hand side across to 3 3/4 and again cut up to that 5/8 mark. So you should have now 1, 2, 3 cuts. Okay, now this is where we've got to cut to get our shaping for our box. So what I have to do here is, if I bring my instructions in here, I need to score these diagonal lines here, the zigzag lines. So the easiest way I found to do that, and the quickest way, is to take my box. I'm going to start with this point. So there's my fold down, my 5/8 mark there. I'm going to pop that on my, I've drawn a line down the center of my board, pop that on there. I'm going to fold it to my first cut line and match it up with that line that I've drawn down the full length of my scoreboard, and then I'm going to score down to that point. I'm leaving that. I'm just going to pivot it till I hit my line again at that center on the opposite side. So that's where I've only got one nick in, and again score down. Again, holding my tool there, I'm going to pivot again, this time until I hit the cut line on that side. Now you can draw this in with a pencil if you wish, and then draw and score this with a ruler. And again, I'm just going to pivot that again, and this time I'm at my tab. So there's my tab there, right on that edge of my tab, and I'm going to score that line up to there. So that is going to give me that diagonal line there. So now all we have to do, and I'm just going to take all this out of the road because I'm finished with my scoreboard. So again, this is our right side of our paper. We're using this side here. I'm going to now just burnish all these fold lines. You can use your bone folder if you wish, or just your fingers. All those diagonals. There's the last one across there, and that center fold there. So now all of that has been scored and folded. So now it's time to put our little box together. It's quite a simple little box. So I'm just using some tear and tape. If I can find my end. On my tab here, I'm just going to fold that in because that's the inside of our box. Put some tear and tape right along that edge there and tear. Don't need that little bit of extra length there, so I'm just going to cut that away so we don't have that sticking on anything it shouldn't be. Fold that in. Whoops, doesn't want to tear off that backing. And fold our box closed. Okay. Now the next thing that I did with this little box is I want to curve the top. So this is our bottom of our box. That's what it's going to form, our bottom, and this is going to be our top. So I just want to use my corner rounder. Just let me bring that in, and I'm just using this one today. You can also use your envelope punch board. And I'm going to pop that into there and round those corners just like that on both sides. I find it's a lot easier to do while this box is laying nice and flat. So you should be finished with nice rounded corners there. Now, because I'm going to actually put some baker's twine around here, what I found was very easy to keep the baker's twine on is I'm going to put a couple of little notches just on that fold line there. So using my hole punch, and right on that score line, I'm just going to punch out a little notch on either side. I hope you can see those notches there. At the bottom of our box, we're going to fold these pieces in. Now they do fold in and only just meet. So the easiest way I found to put my score tape on here, sorry, got bits and pieces in the road here. I'm going to put a little piece of tape along here because that's going to be one side that's going to fold up, and then I'm going to flip it over and pop our other piece of tape just along there. So I'm ending up with, on those 4 pieces, I'm ending up one on my bottom right hand side and one on my top left hand side. Oops, just got my finger stuck. So now with our box, we're going to fold our 2 pieces in, remove our tape, making sure, because they just meet, we get our box nice and square. Fold down one side and glue that down. You can trim these in a little bit if you want, to take little wedges out. Whoops, that doesn't want to just sit nicely. And then just get something and just run it inside, just to make sure that that score tape has well and truly adhered down. So that's our little box. Now that will fit beautifully our Ferrero Rocher, so I'm just going to pop that in there, so he sits nicely in there. And just to decorate our box, now I have, using this great little set here, love this tin box. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to store in here. But using these little stamps, the Christmas stamps, and our tag punch and our real red stamp, what I've already done is I've already stamped Merry and Bright on there. And because our little box is in greens and red, I've done a garden green also in a tag. So I just need to get some dimensionals. Hold on one second. So all I've done here is I've just flagged the end, and that measures, it's 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch by about 2 inches in length. And I've just flagged it, and I've punched a hole at the top, and then stamped that image and cut that out, and just placing one dimensional on there and attaching that through there. Some baker's twine, and I'm using here around about 50 centimeters of baker's twine. All I've done is folded that in half, pop that through that little hole, made a loop and through again, so we've attached that. And then just wrap that around our box twice back to the front, making sure that our little tag is there centered, and he doesn't want to center on me. If I pulled the right string, it might work, mightn't it? It happens every time you go live, doesn't it? Let's try that again. So I'm going to pop that onto the box, wrap it around twice so it comes back to the front. Tie it off with a knot or half knot. I'm tying this off in a full knot if I can get that little thing thread through. And then just a nice little bow. Tidy that up a little bit, make a nice small little bow there. Trim off those tails. And there's a nice little box. That's great to sit on the table at Christmas time for each person, or even just have a basket of them on your bench just in case those extra unexpected guests arrive. So I hope you've really liked my little box. I have seen it made smaller, but I made this one just that little bit bigger. As I said, it's just easy to open. You can take that out, put a piece of jewellery in there if you wanted to, if you want to give that as a present. So I hope you've really enjoyed that. Have fun, make some, show me. I'd love to see them, and let me know what you think. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.